The Senate Intelligence Committee has wrapped up its meetings with former FBI Director James Comey, and after a public hearing that was one of the most anticipated in years in the Senate, where do we go from here is going to be the next question. Comey testified that he perceived statements by President Trump about hoping that the FBI could let go of the investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn as sort of a directive, and he left it to Robert Mueller, the special counsel who's another former FBI director, as to whether or not there's anything that constitutes criminal obstruction of justice. The ball from Comey is clearly being moved into Mr. Mueller's court. It may not be the last we see of Mr. Comey on Capitol Hill, because there's already been talk that the Senate Judiciary Committee and maybe other committees in the House will call in for Comey to testify, but we don't yet know whether or not he's going to be taking any of them up on that offer. There's also a question of whether or not the Intelligence Committee is going to get access to the actual memos that Director Comey drafted as he was meeting with President Trump, or immediately after the meetings with President Trump. As far as we can tell, those memos are in the possession of Special Counsel Bob Mueller, and with the Special Counsel having the memos, it's not clear yet that the committee is going to get a hold of them. They certainly want them. Another interesting thing we learned today is that Comey himself asked a friend of his, who's a law professor at Columbia University in New York, to share with reporters the contents of the memos in perhaps the hope that a special counsel would be appointed. In fact, Comey testified that that was something that was on his mind when he woke up in the middle of the night one night and reached out to a friend of his about having those memos shared with the media. That's something you almost never hear, is someone basically being like, oh yeah, that leak, I was behind that leak. So what's next is perhaps some more testimony from Comey, but really everyone now is going to probably be on pins and needles, and certainly if you're the White House and you're the outside counsel for President Trump, you need to know what all is going on with the Mueller investigation. But one thing to know about that is to be patient. People who know how this investigation is going and how special counsel investigations generally go think that it could take 18 months or maybe even 2 years for Mueller to wrap up his work. If that's true, there may be more hearings like this to come in the meantime, but whether or not there was actually obstruction of justice as a legal matter committed by either the President of the United States or any of his associates may not be known for more than a year.